Hello, this is Joe from Northern Korea doing another deep dive deck talking about Kotis the Fangkeeper. This one's all about theft. It's like how much stuff can you steal? This deck is not as heavy on things like win conditions and things like that. A lot of it is like knowing what your opponents have and what to use against them. So pay attention to their themes and everything in their deck so that you know what you want to take from who. And if you like this one, please hit like and subscribe. We are looking at Kotis the Fangkeeper. This is one that stood out to me pretty quickly, and I think a lot of other people felt the same way, but here we go, this deep dive deck. So, Kotis the Fangkeeper, again, he is one black, a green, blue, Sultai. He is a 2/1 Indestructible. Having an Indestructible commander opens up a lot of doors that a lot of other commanders don't have, but we're going to talk more about that later. So when Kotis deals damage to a player, exile the top X cards of their library, where X is the amount of damage dealt. Okay, so the amount of damage dealt, however much that is, originally 2, we're going to try and increase that, of course, up to who knows how many. You may cast any number of spells with mana value X or less from among them without paying the mana cost. Okay, this is a little tricky to read. I think sometimes people read this and think the X is like totaling X. It's not. It's, again, if you do 6 damage, you exile 6 cards. You can cast any number of cards with the mana value up to 6. Not a total of 6 mana value. So that's a little bit confusing, but yeah, much more powerful that way anyway. So one of the most interesting things about Kotis is that you have an indestructible commander. As I said, anything that's like a board wipe, destroy everything, kind of just leaves your thing alone. Well, it doesn't really leave him alone, but it doesn't do anything because he's indestructible. We look to take advantage of that using Mutate in this deck. Mutate is something people feel either very positively or very negatively about. I put it in this one because Indestructible, again, does offer a lot of advantages. We have flicker effects to protect from exile. And again, there are ways to give him hexproof to protect him from exile. Also, flicker effects. So even you can flicker him. He'll dodge, and all of those mutate creatures that are attached to him unattach in exile and then go back to the graveyard, to the battlefield. So basically, you've got like a board bomb? I don't know what to call it. But yeah, you're just gonna have like a whole bunch of creatures that come out of this like board wipe. Instead of like losing everything, you're just gonna have like a pretty intimidating stack of creatures. Okay, so increasing Kotis' power and granting evasion will make this a real threat to everyone on the board, right? If you could just get your damage through and do a lot of it, you could say that about every commander, but with him, it's, I'm saying him, I don't know, but anyway. With it, it's actually incredibly scary. I think, yeah. Again, we aren't explicitly building a Voltron deck. A lot of people go hard Voltron with this. I'm not going, there's definitely a Voltron element, it's in the mix, but it's not primarily Voltron, is what I mean. We can very easily get to commander damage, I think, but it's not like what this deck is all about. And this deck price is $23.51. These prices change so fast. Sometimes I think I should just take this part out, but yeah. Today, right now, the deck is $23.51, and the link for that on Moxfield is in the description. Again, from Moxfield, you can order it and everything too. If you're using TCG Player, which is what this price is, make sure you reduce the number of vendors, otherwise it's going to have a much higher price. So yeah, something to keep in mind. So part 1, Kotis the Fangkeeper. This is about the commander, or how the commander works in this deck, the synergies we want to look for and things like that. So once again, we talked about him already, but 1 black, green, blue, a 2/1 indestructible. And when it deals damage, he's going to steal cards or exile cards from your opponent that you damage, and then you're going to be able to like cast a bunch of cards based on how much damage he did is the maximum value you get to do. The maximum value of each individual card, you get to do every card. Yeah, it's a huge advantage being able to just steal things from other players, especially if you know what the deck's all about. If they've got like a burn deck and you want to just do a bunch of damage to people, hit that player, steal their stuff, do a bunch of damage, right? Whatever resources, be aware of your opponent's themes, and that's you pretty much like your problem solver right there. Double Strike, again, does trigger this twice, and we have other things that will increase the number of times this ability triggers. It gets really out of hand. Blossoming Defense, so our high synergy cards. This can be used offensively or defensively. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains hexproof until end of turn. So if you want a little more damage on your attack, especially maybe you got Double Strike, this can get you to that commander damage, or go a long way. +4 out of 21 is quite a bit, actually. Defensively, hexproof. That's really all you need with an Indestructible commander. Hexproof kind of has you covered on the vast majority of effects. I guess like a board wipe that will exile. That's still a problem, but that's about it. We even have things like that can flicker to deal with that. So yeah. Kind of be real to get rid of. Ghost Lantern, okay. So when you put this on your commander, you'll quickly increase your commander's stats, and because your commander is very hard to remove, you're probably gonna stay on the battlefield longer. So yeah. Every time a creature dies, you get to put a +1/+1 on whatever creatures this is attached to. So remember, a creature, not your creature, any creature dies. So if there's like a board wipe that leaves your commander alone and takes out everything else, great. Your commander's going to be massive, right? Probably in that Voltron kind of build damage right away. Yeah. The 13th Doctor. So again, this, whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Any creature you want. Also, you're going to be able to, at the beginning of your end step, untap each creature you control with a counter on it. So yeah, your commander is going to be able to get a bunch of +1/+1 counters as anything else on your board, and everything is going to untap, making your defense really easy, or even activate those abilities again or something like that. So yeah, it's going to do some work right there. Blood Money. Alright, so anything that destroys all creatures is really good because your commander doesn't get destroyed. And for each non-token creature destroyed this way, create a tap treasure token. This does cost 7, but if there's even 7 creatures non-token creatures that are going to get destroyed, it's basically going to be free, right? You do pay the 7, but you get 7 back in treasure. Tap treasure, but still in treasure. That is just going to do so much work. Oh. Key to the Vault. I love this card. I'm surprised it hasn't taken off in value. I really thought it would. For 1 and a blue, this is an equipment. And whenever a quick creature deals combat damage to a player, look at that many cards from the top of your library. You may exile a non-land card from among them, put the rest of them on your library. You may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost. So this is different than Kotis' ability in 2 ways. First of all, it's your cards you're going to be able to look at and exile something. Also, it doesn't care about the casting cost, right? It is only 1 instead of many, but any card for any cost, even if he deals like 2 damage, you exile 2 cards, one of those cards is like a 6 mana something, you can still cast it, no problem. It's nice having access to your own cards as well, because if you eliminate someone from the game, all of their cards that you sold disappear as well. This makes sure that you actually have your own cards on your board. So that does a lot. Finally, Felix Five Boots. 2, again, Sultai, so black, green, blue. Menace Ward 2. Again, a 5/4 for 5 with Menace. Not bad. Ward is there as well. Ward's better than nothing. People hate Ward, but I'd rather have Ward than not have it, I guess. So if a creature you control dealing combat damage to a player causes a triggered ability of a permanent, not a creature, a permanent. That's very important. You control the trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So it's going to double your commander's ability. Also, if he has double strike, then he's going to do it 4 times with this out. That's insane. We also have things like Kotis Spike, where if Kotis Spike triggers, they lose half their life rounded up, then they do it again. So basically you're going to take 75% of their life every time they get hit. That's assuming there's no double strike or anything as well. Part 2, the plan. What are the deck objectives here? Our objectives, number 1 is always the same, ramping and fixing. Fixing, especially if you're talking about 3 or more colors, you've got to think about fixing. Evasion, pretty important. Combat triggers, unsurprisingly. And your endgame. I kind of go back and forth on what to call this. I called it finishers or, whatever. But it's not, this is more like the plan. It's not necessarily this automatically makes you win the game. It's like it sets you up to win the game. So I'm going to call it endgame. Ramping and fixing. Foreboding landscape. Again, you can. It's a land. You can tap it and add 1 colorless, or you can sack it and go get any of the land types you need for this deck. Also has cycling. So just all kinds of utility there. It's kind of nuts. If you have your fixing done, just leave it and use it for a colorless mana. Why not? Sakura Tribe Elder for 1 and a green. You can sack it and, search a library for a basic land card, put it into the battlefield, tap, shuffle. Nice little effect. Trail Tracker Scout. Again, this is another mana dork, or I guess this is the first mana dork in this. For 1 and a green, this is a 1/3. I love this card. A lot of people think it's not great. It's not an early game mana dork. A lot of times you want like Elvish Mystic, where it's like 1 mana and you can tap it for 1 right away. This costs 2, but you can get any color mana, first of all, and whenever you expend 8, that means spend 8 mana on a spell, not an ability, return up to 1 target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. So you're just going to be able to pull things, have got permanent recursion sorted. Spending 8 is not very difficult in this deck either, I think. So, oh boy, yeah. Migratory Great Horn. This is our mutate one. Whenever this creature mutates, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. So as long as you keep mutating, you can just keep getting extra land, extra land, extra land. I believe there's 10 mutate cards in this deck, so there's not a whole lot, but it's enough that'll be worthwhile, I think. Culling Ritual. For 2 black-green, destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. Non-land permanent. Not just creatures, permanent, right? So this can take out enchantments, artifacts, all kinds of like headaches you might have. It can take them all out. And add black or green for each permanent destroyed this way. Yeah. Whoa. It'll just do so much work. Especially against those like token decks or something. Again, those token decks have mana value 0. They are permanent still. So yeah, if they've got a big pile of treasure or clues or something, basically that's your mana now. Oi. Evasion. Okay, so we got Cradle of Baldur's Gate for a blue and a black, a 1/3. He can pay 2. Whenever you attack, you may pay 2. If you do, target creature can't be blocked. And whenever Cradle of Baldur's Gate deals combat damage to a player, that player loses 1 life, mills the card, you gain 1 life, scry 1. Again, Felix would double this, so you get even more scry and more life gain, life loss type of thing. But the main thing we want is the evasion. Marang River Prowler. For 2 and a blue, is can't block and can't be blocked. So not helpful on defense, but can't be blocked. Also, you may cast him from your graveyard as long as you control a black or green permanent. So if your commander's out, you can just keep casting this from the graveyard whenever you want. So you can always have like an unblockable creature on the board just over and over and over. And yeah. They need to exile this basically. Wingspan Stride. For 1 blue only, it gives +1/+1 and flying. Also, for 2 and a blue, you can return it to your hand. Kind of a nice little bonus. Really, we want flying and only 1 mana, though. Sword Coast Sailor. This should be so much more expensive as well. For 1 and a blue, commander creatures you own have, whenever this creature attacks a player, if no opponent has more life than that player, creatures can't block. This creature can't be blocked this turn. Right, it's only this creature, not all the creatures. I almost read that really wrong. So your commander, as long as they're attacking the opponent with the most life, just unblockable. So yeah, done, sorted, right? Reverse the polarity. For 1 blue. This is an instant. This actually went above my $2 mark and then back under. Counter all spells. So it's a pretty huge counter spell. Also, switch each creature's power and toughness until end of turn. Maybe if you're playing like against maybe Toughness Matters deck where they've got a bunch of 0 things, switching that would make them all go to the graveyard. Anyway, creatures can't be blocked this turn. Again, you can use this on someone else's turn. This is an instant, right? So this is a political thing. You can be like, oh hey, swing at that person. I'll make it so no one can block this turn. Just leave me alone. And yeah, maybe take the problem player out of the game immediately. Like, yep. Combat triggers. Felix 5 boots, we talked about already. That extra trigger from combat damage is just going to do so much work in this deck. Gaunty basically lets you look at 1 extra, 2 black, green, blue for this 5/5. Spells you cast but don't own cost 1 less to cast? Sure, why not? Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, look at the top card of that player's library, then exile it face down. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. So basically it'll let you like cast a spell. It does not... Wait. Yeah, mana of any color can be used to cast the spell. So it doesn't automatically cast it for free, but it does like make it so it's much easier to cast at least. So, and stealing more is kind of funny. Anyway, Inquisitor's Flail. So if a quick creature would deal combat damage, it deals double that damage instead. So it is triggered by combat damage. Again, Felix is going to make that double happen 1 more time. That is not quadruple, that is triple. It's going to be triple damage, which is probably enough to get you to your win con, right? If your commander is doing, what is it, a triple, you only need 21. So if he could do 8 damage, there you go. You're one-shotting people. Also, if another creature would deal combat damage to a quick creature, it deals double that damage to a quick creature instead. You don't care. Your commander's indestructible. So, yeah, sure. Take quadruple damage, whatever. Doesn't matter. He's indestructible. Quite a spike. I talked about this one already, but yeah. The quick creature has Death Touch. Nice. And whenever it deals combat damage to that player loses half their life rounded down. So, yeah. They're going to lose half their life. And if Felix is out, they lose half their life again. So 75%. And then if they have double strike, it's going to happen 4 times. So I'm not good enough at math to figure out that'd be over 90% of their health anyway. The Key to the Vault. I talked about this one already. But yeah, being able to get things from your own deck as well. Very, very useful. So commander damage, we got Raised by Giants, Fire Shrieker. Again, this gets you to 20, right? This makes your commander a 10-10, or Raised by Giants makes it a 10-10, and then Fire Shrieker does double strike, so it gets you to 20 plus anything. 1+1+1 counter gets you to, you want to get to 21, so it's like 1 short. Any little thing, any equipment, any thing that gives you even a +1 to damage, you're all set. There are many things in the deck that'll do that, so yeah. No blocks. Again, we got Bluster Squall. Target creature you can, tap target creature you don't control for 1 blue. For 3 blue, tap everything. It's overload, right? Tap all creatures you don't control. So basically you get to swing out for free, no problem. And if you've got your, the 13th Doctor and a bunch of +1/+1 counters, you probably get to untap and then not have to worry about getting attacked. Reverse the polarity, we talked about as well. Again, creatures can't be blocked this turn. Use it as a political thing. Washout. Return all permanents of the color of your choice to their owner's hands. This is a little risky because maybe you stole things that are the color that you want to, send back to their hands. Even if you send a whole bunch of stuff back to someone's hand, so it's not the worst thing. It does give them options which you don't want to do, but if you can use it to knock them out of the game, yeah, sure, why not, right? Wear them down. So again, we got Morong River Prowler. Again, he can't be blocked. We have a whole bunch of things that can't be blocked. Any unblockable thing? Unblockable isn't really a word, right? Anyway. Can't be blocked. Quietus Spike and then Felix. So we got that thing where it's not going to take them out, but it's going to get them so low. If this triggers once, they're already down to 10 health from 40. And then finishing off is not a big deal, right? Your commander can probably get through one time, and that'd be it. Part 3, Combos and Tactics. So how do we get the most out of the deck? Kind of look at the sub-themes as well here. So Mutate is a major one. For 3 and a green, or 2 and a green for Mutate. Whenever this creature mutates, search your library for a basic land card, put it into your battlefield tapped and shuffle. Talked about that already. Trumpeting Gnar. Whenever this creature mutates, create a 3/3 green beast creature token. So this is going to pump out 3/3 green beasts. 3/3s are not messing around. Again, it has mutate, 3 in a green or mutate, 2 in a green, Death Touch. Adding Death Touch is very nice, and whenever this creature mutates, each opponent loses X life, and you gain X life, where X is the number of times this creature has mutated. Sure. It's about Death Touch. Gem Razor, Reach and Trample. So again, if you mutate this for 1 green, it gets Reach and Trample. If you put this on your commander, an Indestructible with Reach and Trample is just offense, defense, nightmare. Whenever this creature mutates, destroy target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. So mutate is now removal. And Dirge Bat. For 2 black or 4 black mutate, the mutate cost is actually higher on this one, but it has flash, flying, and whenever this creature mutates, destroy target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. So Gem Razor and Dirge Bat, if you have them both and start mutating, you can remove artifact or enchantment and creature or planeswalker every single time. Oh, the value. Counter effects, Essence Flux. Again, this is not counter spells necessarily, things that we're going to use to counter. We need to keep that in mind because we're putting not quite doing Voltron, but we want to be aware of that as kind of a sub theme. Essence Flux. Exile target creature you control, return to the battlefield under its owner's control. If it's a spirit, put a +1/+1 counter on it for only 1 mana. That's why it's in here. Planar Incision does almost the same thing for artifact or creature. And yeah, comes back to the +1/+1 counter even if it's not a spirit for 1 in a blue this time instead of just a blue. Repulsive Mutation X green blue. This is a little confusing. So put X +1/+1 counters on target creature you control. The X is for the number of counters you're putting on a creature. Then up to 1 target spell. Then counter up to 1 target spell unless this controller pays mana equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. So first you're putting those +1/+1 counters down, then they have the tax effect, which is probably going to be pretty high given that you've just put a bunch of +1/+1 counters on a creature that hopefully already had high attack power, right? So this is actually a pretty solid counterspell. Blossoming Defense. For a green, we talked about this one already. Hexproof on defense or +2/+2 on attack. Negate. Plain old Negate. Counter target non-creature spell for 1 in a blue. Nice to have. More Theft. Alright, Gaunty. Again, talked about Gaunty already. Just stealing an extra card. You do have to cast it separately, but it's exiled until you want to use it. Outrageous Robbery. So X black, target opponent exiles X cards from the top of their library. Face down, you may look at and play those cards as long as they remain exiled. If you cast a spell this way, you may spend mana as those men of any type to cast it. Yeah, sure. Villainous Wealth. This is a scary one. This is very much like pretty much the same as your commander's ability, but you don't have to worry about combat damage, so you can do this on top of your commander's ability. Target opponent exiles the top X cards of their library. You may cast any number of spells with a mana value X or less from among them without paying their mana cost. Once again, you get to cast all of those spells. It's not a total of X, each individual thing. So if you make X 6, cast this for 9, you're probably going to be able to just cast everything you exile. Also, those things stay in exile. They don't go to the bottom of the player's library or something. They're just out of the game. So, at minimum, you've created a big problem for them. Alright, this is Kotis the Fangkeeper. This deep dive deck, I hope you like it. Take it easy.